And alright guys, what's the story? How are you all doing out there? Hope you're all doing really good. And I'm doing fine guys. It's Friday and I got that Friday feeling. I hope you all do too. Guys, welcome along to another episode of Martin's World, and you're watching the 420 news, guys, and I'm Martin Condon. I'm the news host. Jeez, never thought I'd describe myself as a news host, actually. That's a weird one. But here we are anyway, guys. It's a weird world we live in, isn't it? So the first piece of today's 420 news, guys, is that I have a piece of paper that I gotta serve to a gardai later on. So I'm taking it upon myself to appeal my case, where I was fined €400. I was inside in the court there this morning, but just because of another appointment I had, I couldn't make the hearing for them to set a bail or something like that. They have to set some sort of bail, and I have to give them money to allow me to appeal my case, it seems. So I'm back in there next Friday, where they're going to set some amount of money that I have to give them, which allows me to be free until my appeal comes up. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes, and we might have a little video there of me telling a guard he has to come to court on my order rather than the other way around. So yeah, it's a power shift there in that. So yeah, that's just one little piece of today's 420 news, guys. And there was an interview, guys, and a lot of you probably have maybe heard it out there. I'm not too sure. Quite possibly you might have heard this, but I definitely think this interview is really well worth playing again. So there was an interview that happened on Liveline with I don't know what the presenter's name on there is. It Joe Duffy? Yeah, Joe Duffy on Liveline there on RTE. And he had a guy on with him who was talking about sharing his story. Basically, he was growing what he called Charlotte's Web, which was a cannabis plant that has up to 1% THC. And it's a rather famous name in terms of the Charlotte's Web. It was a branded cannabis oil, a CBD oil, that was associated with the young child, Charlotte Figgy. May she rest in peace, because sadly she was taken because of COVID. But before that, you know, she was a big player in the medical cannabis industry because of just how powerful her story was. A young girl by the name of Charlotte Figgy. She was quite young at the time. She was suffering, Jesus, up to 300 or 400 seizures in a month, and she started on this cannabis oil, and those seizures pretty much went away. The difference was day and night. It was unbelievable, the change that happened, and she and her parents just made sure that other patients out there, other children out there suffering with the same condition, can benefit off the medicine that they benefited off by sharing their story. So this man was growing this plant that has up to 1% THC, but it was mainly CBD he was after. But he talks in the interview about the fact that he needs some THC in there because it's not as effective without it at all. So guys, I'm going to play that interview for you. The interview is somewhere in the regions of maybe 20 minutes long there, and I have a couple of other pieces I'm just preparing in the background there as well to get you afterwards. But I'm going to play this piece, and I'm going to roll myself up a fatty because I didn't get a chance to roll up before here because it started raining, and I had to drop my kids down to their activities. They're back in their classes again because of the lowering restrictions. So yeah, priorities and all that. So I'm going to play that interview there for you guys. Fingers crossed all the audio goes well and we don't get too many hiccups.
Talk to Joe on 1850 715 815.
Christopher.
All right, straight away we have a hiccup. Give me 1 second. Change this around. Boom. And
Good afternoon.
no.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
Good, thanks. When did the police call to your hall door?
About, the end of October, so about a month ago.
And how many? How many?
3 very nice, I have to admit, detectives.
Were you expecting them?
Absolutely not. It scared the life out of me.
So there was, what time, night or day, and the door?
It was about 8:30 in the evening. Unfortunately, I go to bed quite early due to illness, so I was in the bed at the time. I had the side gate locked, so 2 of them jumped over before I could actually get up out of bed and go to the door. But I think once I opened the door, I have a walking stick. They kind of went, this might be slightly different than what we were expecting.
So what did they say to you? What were they expecting?
They said, listen, we have a search warrant under the Misuse of Drugs Act. We need to search the house because we believe you are growing cannabis plants.
And how do you plead?
Oh, I plead absolutely guilty. I was growing one plant of a strain called Charlotte's Web, which I was using to treat multiple sclerosis.
And did they find the plant?
Oh, absolutely. I showed them where it was. I had no problem in showing them where it was.
And
I told them it was.
Where does it sit in your house?
I had a drying in my woodshed out the back. I had grown the plant in the greenhouse.
And how big or small would it be?
It was pretty small, to be honest. There wasn't very much on it at all. Ireland really doesn't have the climate for it, and there was no special setup. It was just a seed that was.
So you bring were they male or female gardai? Not that
male gardai.
Okay, so you bring. There's the four of you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't walk out the back. Like I said, I wasn't particularly well. But I said to them, "Listen, it's drying out in the shed. You're welcome to
go out and have a look."
And have a look, absolutely, yeah.
And did the three of them go out?
Two of them did, and one stayed with me to kind of calm me down. He was a lovely gentleman.
Oh, fair play.
He said, "Listen, we're just going to try and get through this as well as we can. Yeah. We understand it's a shock, but if you work with us, we'll just get through it."
And Krista, without naming names, even if you do know them, how did they find out about this single plant in your woodshed?
Well, it's obvious somebody reported me along the line.
But who would know? Who would know?
I have no idea. It was very sad because I'm a very quiet person. I have been helping my elderly neighbours throughout the pandemic with baking bread and doing bits and pieces. I grow a lot of vegetables, not only weed, so I was sharing them out. But I've no idea how anybody came across it, or it didn't smell very strong because it's a special strain that I went for specifically.
And how do you ingest it?
I make it into canna butter. Which is you basically cook it down in a pressure cooker with some lovely butter, and you put it into a jar, and you take 1 spoon a day. And to be honest, Joe, it saved my life. I can tell you the history of it and how I even came to use it, if you wish.
Yeah, please do.
So I'd say it's about 10 years ago, I started to experience severe spasms and eyesight difficulties, and I kept falling over, and a heavy feeling in my body. I think the only way I could describe it would be kind of like, do you know if you walk through a swimming pool, the pressure of the water on you? It felt like that every day.
Yeah, okay.
So after a lot of tests, which were pretty horrific, including spinal taps and MRIs, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was put on medications to control the spasms, etc., etc. But to be honest, Joe, I kind of found it completely changed my personality. I wasn't there. You know, like I was on painkillers, etc., etc., and it really affected me. There was no joy in life anymore, and that was very difficult to have as well as an illness. I find multiple sclerosis is very insidious. It slowly takes away your independence. And to be honest, the medication didn't really work that very well. I'd still have spasms that would literally disable me. And the pain was quite horrific day after day. And I was only a young man at the time. And there wasn't as much information as there is now about it. So after months and months and nearly a year of this constant pain and getting no good from the medication, I went on to a multiple sclerosis forum online and started to read up about the remarkable effect that cannabis was having to treat the exact symptoms that I was suffering from. Now, I had never done drugs in my life. It's not a part of my life, and you know, but I couldn't ignore this, because if there's any chink of light for an illness, you tend to run towards it, no matter what it is.
Of course.
So I got in touch with someone and I purchased some. for the first time in my life, and I followed the instructions online and made up some can of butter. And I took a teaspoon that night, got up the next day and took another teaspoon, and to be honest, it changed my life. In actual fact, it didn't only change my life, it saved my life. Because at that stage I was very close to suicide, and I don't mind admitting that. For the first time, I was not racked in pain. I could control my legs. It was remarkable. That's going back, I'd say, maybe 4 years. So I have been purchasing it. Now, I'm on disability allowance, which is, I'm sorry to say to your listeners, but an absolute pittance if you have a disability. It is far more expensive to live with a disability than not.
Yeah.
And cannabis is extremely expensive. I had got to the stage that I genuinely couldn't afford it. Now, I had been able to go back and do a few hours work because I had this teaspoon a day.
Okay.
I was able to control my arms enough, etc., to be able to do my job again. And it kind of, I felt like part of the community. That I wasn't forgotten anymore. I wasn't just curled up in a chair. But it got to the stage where it became nearly impossible to get it on the black market, which often happens. And once I ran out, the symptoms came back and I could no longer work. I couldn't be part of the community. I couldn't give anything back. So this had happened a few times.
Okay.
And I said to myself, well, listen, the only way I can actually ensure that I have a supply of what I consider a life-saving medication was to grow it myself. Okay. So at about the same time, I had heard on the radio about that remarkable woman, Mrs. Toomey, who walked from Cork to Dublin
for her daughter,
to try shine a light on access to medical marijuana in cases where it's needed.
But it's not legalised now.
Yeah, but Joe, it might be legal, but it's nearly impossible for anybody to get.
Why?
Because in the first place, we're not really seeing our consultants now because of the pandemic.
Okay.
In the second place, the drug that they're prescribing is called Savatex.
Yeah.
Savatex has a ratio of 1-to-1. That means 1 level of THC to 1 level of cannabinoids. It doesn't suit everybody. I have tried it, and to tell you the God honest truth, it didn't really work.
Okay.
The Charlotte's Web cannabis plant has a completely different, it only has 0.01% of THC. Now, for your listeners, THC is the psychoactive compound. It's the stuff that gets you stoned. That's not the stuff that we're after. We're after a very low level of that, but a very high level of CBD, which is the cannabinoids, and some terpenes inside it as well. Charlotte's Web was bred by an American couple for, as far as I can remember, for their daughter, I might have that wrong, who suffered from epilepsy. It had been carefully bred, and I had read on the forums that it was ideal for what I was looking for. So I purchased the seed, which, by the way, is perfectly legal.
To purchase the seed?
A seed of Charlotte's Web marijuana.
So what's illegal is putting it into a pot, is it?
It's putting it into the ground. That's when I broke the law. I did think about it, and I thought about it very hard before I did it because I'd never broken the law before. But I defy anybody to say I did wrong if they were suffering the way I was suffering. It was very difficult. Every day was very difficult.
And can you buy Charlotte's Web legally in other...
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can buy it online, and it's perfectly legal. You know, it's just when you put it into the ground, it becomes illegal. Which was, in my mind, I just don't see. I don't see why that's the way. But that's what happened.
And where is the plant now?
It's been taken by the detectives to be analysed.
It's evidence.
It's evidence now. But of course, when they took it, that was all I had. I can't afford to buy any now, and now I'm back to exactly where I started.
Wow.
You know, it's not. There's a vast difference between recreational marijuana and medical marijuana. You know, we don't have access to it. That's an absolute myth
Is it okay?
Simon Harris, yes, he signed this legislation.
Well over a year ago.
But he also said that it was a scheme of last resort, which is it's a statement which means, well, I'm sorry, if you can get anything else that works, or kind of works, we won't allow you have something that definitely works. Like, this is not just me saying it, Joe. It's been published in the Lancet. There is very strong medical evidence here behind it. Savatex does not work for everybody. There's special strains out there that you can grow that work. And now, just because I was treating an illness, I wasn't supplying anybody. The detective said, listen, we can see it's for you. But now I could end up with a criminal record because of this. And I've never done anything wrong in my life bar put that seed into the ground to try take some of the pain away.
But you see, the law would say, obviously it's a difficult. You sourced cannabis prior to this.
Yes, I had to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Were you not worried, Christopher, that when you?
I was worried. Yeah, I was extremely worried.
As at the time that you were going to, I don't know what you collect your can, whatever you do. When you got time at the time you were going to collect the cannabis or it was being delivered or whatever, that might have been a guard sting that you could have been caught in the middle of, and that would be.
Well, it was worth the risk, Joe, because at the time I felt like somebody was pouring a kettle of boiling water over me with neuropathic pain. I can't describe what pain will drive you to extremes. It was the only thing that worked, and it was the only thing that gave me a chance at a normal life. That's how remarkable it is. I just, because it has such a bad name, which is ridiculous in the first place, because it only got that bad name through Nixonian politics in America. And it's people like me now, and people with cancer, and people with epilepsy that are suffering, even though we are doing no harm.
But is one of the reasons it got the bad name, one, because whoever was selling cannabis also started selling heroin and crack cocaine and whatever tablets they could get their hands
but Joe, there's no correlation to cannabis and heart.
I know. But there could be in the individual who's selling them. That's the only correlation is they can be from the same vendor.
Yeah, but when you can't grow it, you're forced to support that industry. So
I take that point. I take that point. And there is evidence of long-term effects of cannabis on people who are not using it medicinally. People who are using it recreationally. That's
up for debate as well. Yeah. People with mental problems and there's far more evidence that alcohol causes far more damage. I can go to the off-license now and buy a bottle of whiskey.
And I take that point, and if we were starting all over again, we probably wouldn't legalise alcohol.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
remember, I'm talking about if it is legalised, to be regulated very heavily.
Okay, the same way the drinks industry is regulated.
I'd actually say even more heavily, to be honest. Yeah. I think it should be. And
what about you see them now? Do you see them in health? No, I think you've answered it. CBD oil and all these different oils. Is that any help? No, obviously you've tried everything.
Well, not really, no, because that tends to come from hemp plants. Hence the reason it's legal, and you need a certain level of THC in order to have the relaxation effects from it. This, like Charlotte's Web in particular, is very good because it controls the anxiety that's associated with having an illness like this, or cancer, etc., etc. It's.
And how are you? Christopher, stay there. I have a few breaks today. Please stay with us.
I will, of course.
Okay, 51551 much.
Talk to Joe on 1850 715 815.
Christopher's contacted us. Christopher is in his 40s now. He was diagnosed with MS when he was 29 in extreme pain, spasms, can affect also your hearing and your eyesight, as you know. Some remission from time to time, but it's never permanent. He tried loads of medications, strong painkillers. I think the phrase you used, Christopher, was some of them even changed my personality. And then you discovered through research, which is fairly straightforward these days on the internet, that there was a formula called Charlotte's Web, a type of cannabis that's available in other countries, but not available here. There are some forms of cannabis available here under legislation for MS, but Christopher says they are of no use to him. And then he was growing one plant of the Charlotte's Web. He didn't want to, well, they couldn't, they're expensive, didn't want to be going to, I don't know, what do you call them, drug dealers, Christopher? Is that where do you get your cannabis?
Well, I think that's the name for them, Joe.
Yeah, okay. You didn't, for obvious reason, you didn't, and for financial reasons. So he got one seed, put it in one pot, put it in his shed out the back, and then the Gardaí, legitimately, they had a warrant, 3 of them arrived. Obviously, they thought they were going to go into a massive grow house or something, Christopher. And they went out the back and they found this pot and they confiscated. Have you had any? And you say you plead guilty. You plead guilty.
Absolutely, I plead guilty because do you know something? A saying comes to my mind from that I heard a long time ago. Thomas Jefferson once said that if a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he's obliged to do so. I don't want to mix up recreational marijuana with medical marijuana. The two things are very different stories. And often what I hear when I bring up medical marijuana is somebody will say, oh, well, listen, it causes this and this problem, etc., etc. And yes, I do accept all that. But I'm treating an illness at home by myself. I'm not supplying it to anybody. It would never go outside the door. It goes into my fridge and stays there and treats my illness so that I can work, I can pay tax, I can do all the things that a member of society is meant to do.
If you're lucky,
I can't see why I'm wrong.
Yeah. And you say you ingest it. Is it through butter or you make a butter out of it?
You cook it in butter. You cook it down in butter, and the oil releases the compounds that you need. You strain the butter, and I shouldn't be telling people how to do it. But
no, I'm sure it's online, and let's not be...
Oh, it is online. It is online. Yeah. You strain the butter, you put it into a jar. It keeps for a long, long time.
And what colour is it?
Every morning, it's a greeny yellow colour. Beautiful colour, actually.
Okay, and what's it?
So, guys, there you have it. If you want to check out the rest of that interview, there's about another 10 minutes left there or so of that interview. It was a powerful interview. I just had to share it with you guys because... you know, it's an shining example of why cannabis needs to be legalized. You know, we have patients out there who know of the benefits. You know, you have a man here who has got multiple sclerosis. Like, it's no light condition to have. It's a serious condition. Excruciating pain there, you heard the man say it. And he's to make a choice, you know. Do I go on legally suffering, or do I go and make a choice to break a law but not be suffering any longer? You know, at least he's not suffering in the present moment. Obviously, he's suffering now because of the legal consequences, but he was free from the symptoms of his illness, and it's discrimination what's going on. They shouldn't be allowed to do this to patients. Like this man has had his medicine taken away. You heard it there. That would have been a year's worth of medication for this man. How much money is he actually saving the state but by using cannabis illegally? Because from what I hear is he reduced his need to take these other medications such as the opiates, which would have been prescribed to him probably with a medical card, possibly, who knows. But he didn't have to take those. So one, he's saving his liver an awful lot of trouble there because he doesn't have to process those harmful opiate drugs. But in the second hand, he's saving the state a lot of money because now he's not reliant on those. You know, and not only that, he's able to participate again in society. You know, get his life back on track. Like, why are we denying this to people? Why are we criminalising this man for that? And now Christopher isn't his real name, you know, like that's more of it. That's the fear that's there. He doesn't want to be targeted any further than what he has already been because of this. The man hasn't been in trouble with the law before, and yet they come raid his house and take his medicine. And now I'd imagine because of him not having access to cannabis, he's probably gone back on some of the harder painkillers that they prescribe to patients like this. Absolutely ridiculous. There was a follow-up interviews then the next day, a lot of call-ins to the Joe Duffy show, So thanks to Joe Duffy there for partaking in today's Martin World. It was a pleasure to have you on, Joe. um, but do check out those interviews if you're all interested in hearing those stories and the other cases, because there's many people out there, guys. There's so many people who are suffering because of the prohibition of cannabis. They say there that the medical cannabis and the recreational cannabis, they're different, but you can't have a conversation about medical cannabis without addressing the fact that there's no research done because of the prohibition. Patients can't access it because of the prohibition. Patients can't grow it because of the prohibition. So you can't have a conversation about medical cannabis without addressing the fact that prohibition is the main, it's the elephant in the room. It needs to be talked about, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be expunged. We need to get rid of cannabis prohibition so that we can end this discrimination, bringing patients to the court for a crime where all they were trying to do is reduce their pain. Like, shame on any country that does that. It's absolutely appalling. It's just really appalling. We're punishing people who are suffering already. Why are we doing that? It's so bad. And then we're reducing the research that can go on there by keeping cannabis, in the schedules that it's in. So, guys, other news there, and I'm going to have to get off early today because it's just a busy day today. I've got another call to take in the next 20 minutes there. So, in other news, guys, Ireland is, as I've reported this before, but it's making the news again today because cannabis use among secondary school students in Ireland is higher than the EU average. It's not really alarming news, but it's something to be noted that prohibition hasn't kept drugs away from your school kids. In fact, Holland has a lower drug use there in their younger population compared to Ireland. So, maybe there's something there. And even Holland doesn't have the perfect drug laws because it still operates in a grey area. It's not actually legal there, but that's a story for another day. But 19% of students surveyed had used it at least once, while 9% reported use in the past month. So 9% of the students who took part in the survey reported using it in the last month. That's something alarming, guys, because that 9% of students are at risk of being exposed to the dangers that exist just because of the black market where this cannabis is sold. If the kid was hanging out outside of a cannabis store and asking some adult to go in and buy a quality assured product, the risk wouldn't be as bad. At least then the child would even have an idea of what it is they're consuming. Go in and get me that one there that has 10% THC, because the 20% stuff, geez, I tried that the last time and it wasn't good. At least the kids can be educated then, as opposed to the way it currently is. You go out and you get a bag of weed and that's it. What's that? It's a bag of weed. Oh yeah, all right, fair enough. You know what I mean? They tell you it's White Widow because it looks a bit white, or it's Orange Bud because it has a bit of orange hair on it. People just are not informed about what they're consuming, and this is extremely dangerous when it comes to kids who consume. So this is another reason why we need to regulate it. So it's the average in Ireland is 1 in 5 Irish school students have reported using illegal drugs at least once in their lifetime, and the EU average then is 1 in 6. So it's not a major difference, but when we do compare it to places like Holland and Portugal, we are high. And pardon the pun. Do I have it? No. There we go. That's the one. I have to try to memorize where that is on the soundboard. So every pun. Yeah, there we go. So other news, guys, driving around, and Gardaí, and there was a slight pun there as well, but you didn't get it. But Gardaí seized €37,000 worth of suspected drugs after noticing cannabis smells coming from a crashed car. Wow, that's just a disaster. You crash your car and then the cops come along and say, hey, there's a smell of cannabis coming out of your car. What a disaster, what a heartbreaker. And the guards get lucky yet again, because hadn't this incident occurred, there would have been still €37,000 worth of cannabis circulating. Because basically yesterday when the crash happened, the Gardaí smelled cannabis and they searched the car. And after searching the car, they found €5,000 worth of cannabis, so 250 grams of cannabis that they found in the car. And unfortunately then for the man driving the car in his 30s, he was arrested. And there was no injuries, thankfully, because of the crash. But sadly, the man is definitely injured. Not physically, but definitely he's going to have to go to court now and face all of this shit because of his cannabis possession. So, as part of the investigation, then members of the Mayfield District Drug Unit and Cork City Divisional Drug Unit carried out a search on an address in Blackpool here in Cork City. And during the course of the search, an additional €5,000 worth of cannabis herb, €3,000 worth of ecstasy tablets, and €24,000 then worth of cannabis oil. Now, interestingly, I don't know exactly how the guards value cannabis oil. I don't know, is it €100 or €140 per gram or something? But I don't know exactly sure. So I can't say exactly how much oil was seized there. But it'd be interesting to know, like if this is oil in its pure form, or was it a coconut oil? Because if it's a coconut oil and they're comparing it to an oil in its pure concentrated form, then there's going to be a major misvaluation because of the dilution that would take place in the coconut oil. So it'd be just interesting. It's just a curiosity that arose there as I was reading this article. How much oil was actually caught, and what was that oil for? Was it a vape oil? I don't know. Like, all of these questions are going around, but I just have no answers for them. But maybe the guy who got caught might get in touch. I don't know, is he still under arrest or what's the crack? But if you're out there and if you want to share your story, if you want to do it anonymously, no problem, get in touch. But when you go to court, they're not going to be anonymous. So why hide? Are you ashamed of what you've done? I don't think you should be. Do I condone what you're doing? Well, I've bought from people who sold cannabis, so I'd be a hypocrite to say that I didn't, to be honest, because the cannabis needs to be supplied somehow, and sadly people do. Now, the fact that you're selling ecstasy alongside that, look, I don't want to be too judgmental, but there you go. This is the danger that happens in prohibition. If you had a cannabis store, no way would you be selling ecstasy tablets from your cannabis store unless it was allowed under regulations, but I don't think it should be. But that's, something else to be considered. So, the man was arrested and he was detained at the Banding Garda station under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act 1984, and he was later released and a file prepared for the Director of Public Prosecutions. So as I say, if you're out there, if you happen to watch this, if anybody's out there and you know him, I'm not too far from Blackpool myself. If you want to share your story, whatever, get in touch, because I'd be interested in hear what was the story with the oil. What did you have it for? Was it for medicinal reasons? Are you looking after patients? I don't know. I have loads of questions I'd love to ask you. So do get in touch. You can do it anonymously or whatever. But anyhow, I'm not going to spend any more time on that. So guys, that is it. That's all the news I have for you today, because as I say, it was a really busy day. I spent the morning at an appointment, then I went to court, and sadly I wasn't on time for my court case because my appointment ran over the time I was expecting it to go on for. So I'll be back in there next Friday and I'll report back here an update for you as to how that went. So I'm going to flick on over, guys, to the comments and to see what's happening out there, guys. Hope you don't mind the change up in the show there today, and with Joe Duffy stepping in and doing a bit of presenting and all that. So see what's going on out there. So a few nice compliments coming in there from David, Sean, Aaron, from another Sean, and Chrisham then says that same as Martin, getting ready for the best news around. So that was I said that I was rolling one up, which I did. And I've been neglecting it because I'm spending too much time talking to y'all out there. So I don't mind it. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy smarting too. And guys, shout out to the Starks and Bickle guys. I would be talking on your volcano right now, but your volcano bags are too noisy, guys. So and I know you have the Mighty, and I really like the Mighty, but it just isn't as vapor filled. So I am burning one up. But inside here, guys, no tobacco. We have a little extra hash added in there as well. So I love to add in the hash as I have it on hand. So that's quite nice, actually. Yeah, David says there as well that whoever reported him as a lowlife in report, or in reference there to Christopher, who was on with Joe Duffy. But here's the hash, guys. It's there's a lot of hash just kind of squashed to it. See if I can break open a fresh piece. But I don't know, is that focusing out there to you guys because I'm not looking at the screen right now. But yeah, that's the hash I'm talking on. But yeah, you're dead right. Like, whoever reported Christopher is a joke because, like, guys, what the hell? Like, a man who's never been in trouble with the law before, next to arriving at his door. What happened there? He was growing a plant out his back garden, like, and one of his neighbours maybe reported him. Maybe his friends ratted him out. Who? I don't know. Like, but like, shame on that person, whoever it was, because it's just pure scumbaggery. Like, leave the man alone. All he was doing was bloody growing a plant. Like, you're reporting a cannabis grower. He's not a criminal. We are not criminals for consuming bloody cannabis, although they try to label us and make us so. We need to stand up for this, guys. It's discrimination. We need to really make a stand once and for all. Like, I don't know how long, much more. That we're just going to let them walk all over us, discriminate us, and drag us to court for what they say is a criminal act, which it's not. It is not. It was an act put in place by a bunch of criminals in the first place, a bunch of corrupt hypocrites, and it needn't stay in place any bloody longer. So yeah, other people there saying as well, Derek Barry saying that put the poor man, what a joke, and yeah, you know, it is a joke. Anybody who's not sympathetic there towards Christopher, which isn't his real name, and his case is just doesn't have a heart at all. Leah says it's awful, sad, and it is, and Thomas O'Donnell says here as well that that's just lousy. They should be ashamed. The CBD flower, and it is. It's a complete joke, man, and it's we're not free people. Like, we are not free people, you know. And the longer we go around pretending that we're free and not standing up for our rights to be free, you know, it's just the longer they're going to take advantage of us. So just repeat after me, guys. We are not free, and we need to stand up and fight for our freedom, you know, peacefully, guys. I'm not calling for violence at all. Peaceful. And then Sean as well here saying is crack Martin, what's happening out there, Sean, man? Hope you're well. Nice one for stopping by. Thomas then as well adds in, great listening. Nice one, Thomas, there for that. And glad you enjoyed it, guys. He's right, going on radio, let it be known, and that comes in from Sean, and that's what I mean, guys. We have to stand up. Suffering in silence is doing us a disservice. It's allowing us to be taken advantage of even more. That the prison system is full, that the prisons are full, guys. If we stand up and we challenge the system by civil disobedience and just go out and break the law, like, this is a form of protest right now. Why I am smoking, guys, on the air live out there for all you to see is to take part in an act of civil disobedience. This is a protest, and I'm happy to get arrested for my protest, standing up for my right to protest. So that's that. And we all need to do it, guys, and you know, share your stories. Obviously people have a lot to lose, and I can understand why people don't stand up, but you know, not standing up, guys, what's the cost there? Is do you know, I think not standing up is going to cost a lot more in the long run. And Sean adds here, Gerda, I've seen a bit of nature there. Turn around, you're under arrest. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's what the guards arresting you for a bloody plant. Like, come on, it's ridiculous. And Sean says there, I've shown the real oil's benefits. Criminal to hold us back. It is. It's ridiculous. It's criminal to hold us back. Those politicians out there that get in the way of this policy, like, they should all be locked up for this, causing the suffering of patients just to go on longer than it needs to. And Ken adds in here, it's more than discrimination. It's fucking cruelty, and it is completely. It's cruel, like, to let people suffer like this just for their selfish need to keep in place this prohibition around cannabis, just so they can discriminate against us out there in society, you know, because it's not the guy in the suit walking along with his briefcase and stuff that's getting stopped and searched. No, it's a young fella. I'm not a young fella, I'm 30 now, but I keep referring to myself as young fella because I'm looking back when I was getting stopped and searched. I was a young fella in a hoodie, and I was walking around the north side, and you know what I mean, I look suspicious, just like my last case when I was parked up on the north side in my banger of a car, and I was reaching down into the footwell to get a bloody bottle of water, and that was suspicious enough for me to get my car searched. Come off the stage, like. No, like, that's cruel, and it's discrimination. It's wrong on many levels, like, and to do it to patients then, like, it's, jeez. Caught lads in there, look at alcohol in the 1920s in the States. All it accomplished is creating a massive black market and criminals to go along with it. And you're dead right, man. And Joe Duffy kind of pointed out there, he was like, oh, if we had to do it over again with alcohol, we wouldn't legalise it. But no, to be honest, we wouldn't criminalise it because we know the effects of criminalising it is much fucking worse. We get the likes of alcohol in there, like, and the boys there, and all the yeah, all of the stuff that went on there within alcohol prohibition, it was ridiculous. The risk of alcohol poisoning during alcohol prohibition was sky high compared to what it is now. The only way you're going to get alcohol poisoning now is by drinking too much, but before it was because batches were contaminated. That rarely happens today. And yeah, caught lads in harm reduction, not incarceration. You know, schools, not prisons. You know, educate, guys. Really, it's the way forward. And Tommy says, can you give me a good pit of pound? I don't know what that's about, man, but yeah, can you give me a good pit of a pound? I don't know. But good luck in the den of thieves. And why is there no dope about? Oh, people are finding it hard to find a bit of pound or dope about the place. And it is true. The only people finding it easy to find it are the guards, unfortunately. And Teresa says she's in protest right now. Thanks, Teresa. I'm going to spark my own back up because I've been letting that go out. I'm at the end of the comments, guys. Bang on in if you want because I'm about to sign off in a few. And Miranda gives me a hi and a wave. I'm going to give a wave back to you there, Miranda. Thanks for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Miranda, it looks like you're joining us from Wales. Wales is a beautiful country, actually. I hope to do a bit of hiking back there this summer with my kids. If you got recommendations and spots there or anything like that to go check out in nature, do definitely pop me a message and let me know, Miranda. If you visited any really nice spots, do let me know. Final comment there, so guys, coming in from Sean, and he says prohibition sets up the war on drugs. And guys, that there is really no war on drugs. Actually, the war on drugs is a misnotion. Like the war on drugs is it's a war on people. It's a war on the minorities. Those people who are like I don't know, it's not so well to do. Like in America, it's the black people and the Mexicans, the Latinos. In New Zealand, it's the what are they called over there? Yeah, the native New Zealanders, the native guys over there, the Maori. They're the guys who are disproportionately punished by these laws. So like these laws, it's not a war on drugs, it's a war on people, and it's a war on certain type of people. You know, we can't allow that to go on any longer, guys. We cannot stand by and allow discrimination go on in our society. We've ended it for the gay people, you know. We ended it for women. When women fought for their equal right to vote, you know, and their equal standing in society, you know, we cannot stand for any form of discrimination. And there's so much discrimination against drug users going on, and we allow it to happen because we think drug users are drug users. You don't matter, sure, you're a drug user. And we can't allow us we can't tell ourselves that either. Stand up, guys. We are important. We are not criminals. Ken says, good show as always. Teresa says, another great show. And thanks very much, guys, for listening. And Carl says, rolling as we speak. I'm a free man born in a free country, and I'll do as I please in the comfort of my own home. And yeah, you're dead right, Carl, man. We all have to stand up for that right to just to be free people. We're not harming anybody. Society isn't falling apart because of us. Society is actually much more damaged because of prohibition. And Sean then says that he enjoyed the show. So there we go, guys. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I have an interview that I'm going to be releasing there over the weekend with the High and Homegrown podcast, guys. So stay tuned for that one, guys. And I have no other news for you guys. So until Monday, I'll be back again with more 420 news. Until then, guys, stay blazed. Keep her lit, because I haven't. Peace. Catch you all soon, guys.